Hey, good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be learning about composition of functions. This is actually a pretty easy topic, something we started working on a couple classes ago. When you have two different functions, for example, f of x is one of the function and g of x is the other function, it's asking you to find f of g of 7. There's two things you need to do. First, you need to figure out what's g of 7. So you're only going to focus on g of 7, just g of 7, okay? Now, we know the input is 7, so x is equal to 7 in here. Here's the g function. We're going to replace 7 in for x. And once you do the math, you're going to get g of 7 is basically 25, right? Okay, so g of 7 is 25. Oops. And that's supposed to be parentheses. So g of 7 is 25. Now you put that 25 into f function. So remember, this whole thing is 25. So now you're going to replace g of 7 with 25 like they did over here. And then you're going to use the f function. The f function is basically 5 minus x. And you're going to replace x with 25. And you get 20. So when you watch these two examples, so I'm going to give you two more examples. So in problem 2, we have f function and g function. I'm going to find f of g of 2. Then I will show you another example where you'll find g of f of 5 using the two different functions. And then you're going to try this on your own. So your assignment for today is basically to try these two problems on your own on a separate piece of paper, and you're going to email that back to me using Google Classroom. All right, so let's take a look at this first example over here where you're looking for f of g of 2. Okay, now first we're going to work with the g function. You work from inside to outside. So technically, if you just focus on g of 2, that you know how to do, right? You're going to find g of 2. I'm going to use a lowercase g just because I don't have a mouse and I'm using a touchpad. So I'm using g of 2, okay? And I'm going to use the g function, which is a function over here, 3x minus 5. Notice that I color-coded the function for you, so it'll be easier for you to recognize the g function. So it's 3x minus 5. That's our g function. Now again, remember, we're finding g of 2, so we're going to replace x with 2. This is technically 3 times 2, right? So I'm going to use parentheses for multiplication. So this is 3 times 2 minus 5. You could do this math in your head and simplify this whole thing. So 3 times 2 is 6, right? And then 6 minus 6 is 0. So guess what? We know that g of 2 is equal to 0, right? So g of 2 is equal to 0. Now we're going to replace the 0 in for g of 2, because g of 2 is equal to 0. Okay? Again, we first figure out g of 2, and our answer is 0. Now we're going to plug that into the red function, which is the f function. So I'm going to use the red color, and I'll use the f function. Again, what I'm basically doing is I'm replacing the g of 2 over here with 0, because that's what it was over here, right? G of 2 is equal to 0. And now I'm going to find out what's f of 0. F of 0, it should be pretty easy to calculate because whenever we're multiplying by 0, everything's going to equal 0. So we're using the f function, which is 2x plus 1. We're replacing the x with 0. So it's 2 times 0. 2 times 0 is 0. And if you add 1, your final answer is going to be 1, right? So guess what? This is our final function. This is our final answer. So f of g of 2 is equal to 1. And we're done. Okay? Now take a look at the other example. But again, you can always go back and watch this video step by step. In this example, we're looking for g of f of negative 5. So first, if you just focused on g of f of negative 5, we can calculate f of negative 5 easily, right? Let's use the f function. Okay. Again, we're working from inside. So f of negative 5, we're going to use the f function to simplify that. Okay, f of negative 5 is going to be basically 2 times negative 5 plus 1, right? I'm going to use that function. So I'll just actually rewrite the equation 2x plus 1. And that's 2 times 5 plus 1, right? So here's my parentheses, 2 times 5 plus 1. Okay, do the math. 2 times 5 plus 1 is going to be 10 plus 1, that's 11. Okay? So f of negative 5 is equal to 11. Now we're going to use the g function to simplify. I'm going to use the green color. So technically, remember, we're looking for g of f of negative 5. So once we get an answer for f of negative 5, we're going to put that, in here. Okay? Again, f of negative 5, we said that was 11. So f of negative 5 is equal to 11, and that's where we're placing the f of negative 5 with, this inner function. We can calculate g of 11 using the g function, which is color-coded here in green. So that's 3 times 11, right? 3 times 11 minus 5. Okay? Okay, let's do the math. So 3 times 11, that's 33, minus 5 is going to be 28. So this whole thing is equal to 28. Okay? So g of 11 is 28, and that's our final answer. Oops. I'm going to also show you a quick video, maybe a quick picture that will show you what you need to do first. Again, when you are working with function, you work from inside to outside. You first calculate what's f of negative 5, get an answer. You put that answer into the g function to get the final answer. All right. I hope these two examples were helpful to you. And now you're going to work on these two problems on your own. Again, go through the step. First, I would focus on g of 11, get that answer, and plug that into f function. Here, you're going to first focus on the f function. You're going to first figure out what's f of 5, get an answer, and you're going to put that into the g function. All right. Let me know if you have any question. I hope you. Okay, I want to go back. Sorry, I kind of messed up over here. As you know, this was not 5. So you must be wondering, okay, what happened here, right? Let's go back and fix this. 3x minus 5 is basically 3 times 2 minus 5, not 6. I don't know. See, this is where I messed up. So this should have been 5. Sorry about that. And that's actually 6 minus 5, right? And then 6 minus 5 is actually negative 1. Oh boy, all those mistakes. So let's just fix that. So that's 5, and that should have been 1. And now this is also changed, which means this has to be changed and this has to be changed. Okay. So it's 6 minus 5, and then 6 minus 5 should be 1. You put that, so g of 2 is actually equal to 1. You're going to put that in here. Same thing. We're going to use the f function, right? F function is 2x plus 1, so it's 2 times 1 plus 1, which is 2 plus 1, which is 3. So now finally our answer is 3, okay? So let's delete this here, and it's 3. All right, so hopefully you stayed until the end of the video because we were able to fix our mistakes. Just, again, it's common that people make mistakes, but if you look back at your work and go through the steps, you should be able to recognize your mistake. All right, good luck.